Hi everyone, today Salesforce Visual Studio configuration. So let's go ahead and see what are we going to learn today. So introduction, we'll see about introduction, what is Visual Studio, why we need it. And we'll download and install the Visual Studio today in everybody's system. And then what is Visual Studio and what are the options we have in the Visual Studio, we will see those options. And then we will install the Salesforce DX CLI, which is an integration. And this is to create a project in Visual Studio. How to create a project in Visual Studio, we'll see that. And how to connect with the Salesforce Org and how to retrieve the component from the Salesforce Org. And what is Package.xml? What are the things that we need to learn in the Package.xml? And also we will talk about the how to deploy to Salesforce Org. Then finally, we'll provide trailhead referral links, which are required. So let's go ahead and start. So the introduction. So Visual Studio is basically, it's another IDE. So like a developer console, we have a developer console, which is till now we have used it as a IDE, right? So we opened the developer console and we did the programming. But there is another option which we have a Visual Studio. Visual Studio is another IDE. IDE is nothing but an integrated development environment. So IDE is nothing but integrated development environment. Development environment. So this is Visual Studio is another integrated development environment for Salesforce development. So mostly why we use the Visual Studio in order to implement LWC component. So right now, if you want, you can implement the Apex classes, Lightning Aura also you can do it in the Visual Studio. There is no restriction, only we have to do LWC, not other. There is not like that. So you can create Apex classes, you can update the Apex classes, you can modify the Lightning Aura, and you can create the LWC. So everything you can do it using the Visual Studio Code. Similarly, what we are doing in the developer console. And in order to install this Visual Studio, so what you have to do is you have to click on your Salesforce. You need to check your Windows configuration. So how to cross-verify the Windows system configuration? Is everybody is on the system?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So click on Start. Click on Start. Or else just go to this PC, whatever your C drive or this PC is there, go there. Is everybody with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so here, is anybody who is using, apart from Windows, anybody who is using Mac or Linux, anybody?
Yes, I'm using Mac, Swapna.
Okay. Any other members? Okay. So in Mac also go to this page, this PC, and where we have a C drive, D drive, E drive, everything, whatever you can see. So basically right click on here, go to the properties. So where you can see what is your system configuration. Right click on this window and go to the properties. So when you go to the properties, you will see what is your system configuration. In my case, it is Windows 10, and we have a 64-bit operator. So Windows 64. Mine is Windows 64. Like that, cross-verify yours. What is yours? Is everybody on it? So this is a basically two-way communication. It's not one-way communication. So I need you guys to talk about it, whether you are able to find out this. If you are facing any issues, just let me know right now here.
Yes, Sapna, I got it.
Okay. Shailaja, Shankar, Sibita. Okay, so you are able to got it, right? This is the one which is says it here, Windows 10, and here system type is 64-bit. This is my system configuration. Similarly, you will be having your own system configuration. So is there anybody who has not got these options? Still, they are trying to find out. Okay. So it basically we'll have a Windows and we'll have a Linux and we'll have a Mac OS. So based on your system, whatever you are using it, operator. So based on that, you need to identify and keep that in the notepad. Somewhere write it in the notepad. And next thing is that next step is download and install the Visual Studio Code step 1. We are going to do the step 1. Now here you need to download the Visual Studio Code to your system. So just use this link. So code.visualstudio.com. So I'm pasting this link. Just open that link. And by default, it will give you the Windows, but if you drop down, it will give you other options also here. So now based on your system configuration, select that particular one and then download it. Whoever is Windows, just click on this, download for Windows. Click for download for Windows. Whoever is different one, just download it. There's Linux or Mac. So use the stable one, do not use the insider, just use the stable one. Which are the stable one is there, just use the stable one. Is it downloaded? Let me know once you guys done with the download. So go to code.visualstudio.com. Then you have to, if you are using a Windows, directly click on the download for Windows. If you are a Mac or a different one, just use the stable one. Do not go for inside. Done. Still going on installation. Nagaman, you downloading the Visual Studio? Are you doing that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Karthik, Vaibhav, are you guys doing the downloading part?
Yes, ma'am. It's downloaded for me.
Okay. So just let me know, guys, once you are done. So Akash is completed. Ananya, how about you?
Completed.
Shailaja completed. Karthik done. Nagamani completed. Okay. So now when you download it, you will see something like this. VS Code user setup hyphen something exe file will be there. Are you guys able to find the exe file? There will be a exe extension. So just double click on that. Just double click on that so that the first screen, it will show license agreement. Say that I accept the agreement.
Ma'am, I have a doubt now.
Yeah.
Ma'am, in my laptop, before we downloaded the VS Code, ma'am, now it continue, ma'am, or?
Oh, you already have a VS Code?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, if you have a Visual Studio already, do not install again.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah. So click on a accept button and then it will take you to the next screen. Next screen is a select additional task. So just select here the create desktop icon so that icon gets created in the desktop. Select this checkbox and do not select all these things. Add to path that you can, by default, this is selected. So select this, create a desktop icon and the last option and click on next button. So once you click on a next button, it will take you to the ready to install. And just click on a install button here. Click on install button. So once the installation is done, then there is a progress bar which is running in your system. So it will be running like this. Some updates will be going on here in your system. There is a progress bar which will be appearing it to run it. So like this, there is a progress bar which will be appearing it. So once that is done, so the last screen is going to be the finish. And when you click on a finish, that time just check here, launch Visual Studio. Launch Visual Studio. Check the checkbox, launch Visual Studio and click on finish. Done. How many members are completed the Visual Studio installation?
Completed.
Okay. Vaibhav, Karthik, Shailaja completed. Archana, how is it going in the Mac?
Swapna, I've already installed this. I have it on my system.
Okay,
Yes.
you have already Visual Studio. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody is still trying, not able to proceed further? Okay. So now when it launches the Visual Studio, so it will launch a Visual Studio and the screen gets open like this. Screen, maybe you will see something here, but you will see some black color screen. So similar like so like this, you will be seeing it. Some screen you will be seeing like a black color. So let's understand the Visual Studio. What are the options that we have? So in Visual Studio, so this is the screen, that's how maybe you will not see the recent items. Maybe you will see the start and some walkthrough and something because you are on the initial stage. So you will not see the recent options. So here, whatever you see, the first one, which is called Visual Studio. So whatever you see here, this window, right? So this window is the right side one. This window is called editor. This one is called editor. So what it does basically when it says editor, editor is nothing but where you can edit files whenever you wanted to create any class or a LWC component or Aura component. You have to open in the editor. Or if you wanted to create it, you have to create it in the editor. Editor is basically for the developers to create, modify, or if they wanted to change anything, any file. So everything can be done in the editor. And the second one, which is this one, the left side, is called sidebar. This is called sidebar. So in this sidebar, we will see all the different views. Different views is nothing but basically this sidebar you will see once your project is configured. Once your Salesforce is configured with the Visual Studio, you can see everything here. You can see all the files like your Apex classes, Lightning Aura classes, LWC classes, and object fields, page layout, everything you can see. The folder will be visible in the sidebar. And the bottom, the one which you see here, the purple color. So basically that is, so this one I'm talking about the bottom one, this one, the purple color, whatever you see here. That is a status bar where you can see what is happening. Like if your Visual Studio is connected with your Salesforce Org, then you will see here the org is connected to Visual Studio. And if you are pushing the changes or if you are modifying any file changes, everything will be appear here. Everything you can see in the status bar. So status bar is nothing but where it will give most of the information about your Visual Studio, what is happening. So all the information sits here down. So this is basically if you have any problem, like while pushing the code, right? So when you are pushing the code to the some org or somewhere like a Git, so when you are pushing it, so if there is any problem, it is going to show here. You might not see live share because for this I have done some projects. So that's the reason it is showing me live share. Or if you have installed any package related to live share, then it might show. And here the notification, the right side, you will see the notification. This is bottom. Are you guys able to see this? So this is the one. So whatever they see here, this is a notification. All the notifications will be seen here. And then this is a tweet feedback. In case if you wanted to give a feedback related to the Visual Studio, anything you can check here. So basically this status bar is about the information. What is happening? Are you able to push the code perfectly or not? Is this project is connected to the Salesforce org or not? And is there any notification? So these are the status bar which will be there. And then besides the sidebar, you can see here, there is another information, lot of icons you can see here. This is called activity bar. Lot of activities is going to happen here. Like this is about the project. So let me go to the Visual Studio. So this is about the Explorer. And if you wanted to search, you can search it. And this is about your source controller. If you have any source controller, then if you click on this, you can view that. And this is debug purpose. And this is the extension. This is extension. And if you click on an additional view, you are going to view some more information which are related to GitLab and live share. So you might see only one GitLab. If you are able to see live share, that's fine. If you are not able to see the live share, that is also should be fine. And then it is going to give here the account information. And this is a manage. Basically, if there are any updates or if you wanted to do, this is a setting for the Visual Studio. This is a setting. So this everything, whatever you see here from this icon to this icon is called activity bar. All the activities are going to happen there. All the activities are going to happen. So if you want to click on a settings, if you wanted to go to the Visual Studio settings, you can go here by clicking on this, click on a settings, and it will open the settings. And if you wanted to apply some keyboard shortcuts instead of using a mouse, if you want any shortcuts that you wanted to implement, you can go ahead and apply. You can see here. So by clicking on that, you can see all the shortcuts which are available. This is only for the Visual Studio. Like if you wanted to change or if you wanted to close the windows, right? You can use the Control-Shift-W or Alt-F4, or else if you wanted to move some lines up and down, so you can use the Shift-Alt-Up, which is nothing but moving the lines to the up. So like this, there are so many options, shortcuts are available. Now, in case if you wanted to open file, right? So if you wanted to open the file, so Control O. If you wanted to open the folder, Control K. So like this, there are many options are available, keyboard shortcuts. Then if you wanted to configure user snipping, color theming, if you wanted to change your color theming, so light plus or a quiet light or solar light, whatever you like it. Right now it is a dark plus for me. So if I wanted to change a quiet light, I can change it. So in case if you want the theme layout, the Visualforce theme layout, if you wanted to change, you can click on this color theme and file icon theme and then product icon theme, anything if you wanted to change related to theme, you can go here. So this is everything is called activity bar. That is activity bar. And then on top, this is a menu bar. On top, we have a menu bar. So in menu bar, we have a file, edit, selection, view, go, run. These all our options are available. If you wanted to create any file, open file, or if you wanted to open the existing one, which is already stored in your system. So you can click on a open file. If you wanted to create a new file, just click on a new file. So it will ask what is the name of the new file. Okay. So right now we are not creating that. So let me close this also. So this is all about the opening the folder, creating the file and open recent one. And if you wanted to add a folder to workspace, save workspace, right? Duplicate workspace if you wanted to create anything. And then in the edit, we have a normal edit options. So these all options you can play with this. So this is all about the Visual Studio. So Visual Studio has the editor, sidebar, status bar, menu bar, activity bar. Any questions on this? Okay. Now the next step is we are going to install the Salesforce DX CLI. So for this, the first step you need to do is why we need this Salesforce DX CLI. Right now, I have installed Visual Studio. Right now, I have installed the Visual Studio. So Visual Studio is installed. This is standalone, right? I have downloaded it. I have downloaded the VS Visual Studio. It is there. This is the app which is there in my system. Now we have a Salesforce somewhere in the cloud, right? We have a Salesforce. So this is in my laptop. This is in the cloud. Now, if I wanted to bring Salesforce component in a sense, when I say component is nothing but it could be an object, it could be a tab, it could be a fields. It could be an object, it could be a tab, it could be a fields, or it could be a Apex classes, it could be a trigger, Apex trigger, it could be a lightning aura, it could be a LWC, anything, whatever is there in the Salesforce. We call it as a component. We call it as a component. Now, if I wanted to pull this, each component, if I wanted to pull this, each component, that means object component, tab component, or if I wanted to pull the field component. Now, I need to bring this into the Visual Studio, right? So I need to bring this code, all the code, whatever exists here, all the code, whatever the exist in the Salesforce configuration, customization, everything that I wanted to push it to the Visual Studio. When I say Visual Studio is where it is on my system. It is on my system. So that means it is on my system. So that means on my system, whenever I'm pulling the Salesforce to the Visual Studio, what is happening? Ultimately, a folder gets created in my system. Folder is created in my system. Because we are pulling the data from Salesforce to the Visual Studio. And when I pull the Visual Studio, and ultimately Visual Studio is on my laptop. So definitely whatever I'm pulling from the Salesforce, everything gets stored in the local system, Now, so in order to connect this, we need an integration. We need integration, which is a single command line interface, which we need an interface where it is going to connect my Visual Studio to the Salesforce Org. I need an interface here between these two. I need an interface. So this is very important interface. If you do not have this interface, then your Salesforce will not be able to connect Visual Studio. So every time it has to, first when you are bringing it, it will check whether you have this interface in your system or not. Whether you have this interface in your system or not. If it is there in your system, then it is going to cross verify, okay, if it is perfectly installed in your system, then after that, it is going to, first it will check interface. If it is perfectly fine, then it will connect the Visual Studio. In case if you do not have a Visual Studio, then it will not connect to your Visual Studio. Salesforce will not be able to connect to Visual Studio. So for that, just go to this developer.salesforce.com tools SF DX CLI. SFDX CLI. So select here your whatever the configuration, system configuration is there. Select that, and whoever is Windows, if you are in a 64, directly click on a Windows for 64. If it is a 86, directly click on a 86. Or if you are Mac, just select this Mac so that it will give you the different options. So in Mac, what is the Apple Silicon or a Intel CPU, whatever you have. So just download this. Download it. There will be an exe file that gets created. There will be an exe file that's get created. Is it done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Did it install the zip file or did it create the exe file? Exe file. Okay. Okay. So just install it. So once it is done, just double click on that exe file. And whatever it is asking, just go step by step. It will ask the path. Okay, so by default, whatever path is there, it will take that path. Otherwise, if you want a different path, just keep the different path. So you will see like this in Salesforce CLI, and there you will have a bin file, client file, uninstall. If you go to the bin, and you can see all these options. Installation is done. Anyone has a trouble in Salesforce CLI installation? Okay. Let me know once it is done. Okay, Archana completed. Let it take time. Okay. So if it is taking time, let it take. Make sure your internet connection is proper. Okay, Akash is completed. Okay, Karthik is completed. For others, how it is going on? Shailaja, is it completed?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am. Completed.
Okay. So once it is completed on your Windows, okay, just select the type run button. Type run button. Type run, and then when it opens, so let me show you that. So here start option, and then just type here run. Type run, and then click on open. Here type CMD. Type CMD. Type CMD and click on OK. Type CMD and click on OK. Now here, just type SFDX. Type the command, small letters, SFDX. Type the command SFDX. And hit enter. It takes some time to get the result. So you will see if it is installed perfectly, you will see like this version SFDX-CLI, and what is the version it is? Okay, whatever the version it is, it will show that options. So like this, it is going, you are going to get this information. Version, usage, topic, commands.
Hello.
Yes.
Shupna, is there any other way to install this? Actually, I'm using my company's laptop, and I won't be like able to install anything here. Like this CLI integration, I'm not able to install. That will
Okay.
need admin credentials.
Okay.
So, is there any other way?
Your company will be having a CLI, so you cannot do that.
Okay.
So you have to ask your company to provide that CLI, or they will be installing it on behalf of you.
Okay.
This is mostly with the MNC companies. When they give a laptop, the admin part is with the companies. So you cannot install it.
Actually, I have installed this Visual Force. So, is it
Visual
possible
Studio
to?
will allow, but
Okay.
this interface, it will not be.
Okay, okay.
Okay, Shailaja got it. How about others? Okay. And Karthik, Sibita. Now that means if you are getting this output means SFDX is successfully installed. It is successfully installed. Okay. So once it is successfully installed, there is little bit configuration which we have to do it on the system. Step 4. So click on the start button in your laptop, in your Windows, click on a start and then search for a system environment variables. Search for system environment variables. Click on a start and there is an option called type here to search it. Then just write a system environment variables. What you have installed, Ananya? Visual Studio, or you are talking about the Salesforce CLI?
Hello, ma'am, I'm talking about Salesforce CLI.
Okay, so once the Salesforce CLI is done, just click on a start option in your Windows.
After completing, it's just showing the close window.
Yeah, close it. That means done.
Okay.
Now your installation is completed.
Okay.
Now click on a start button in your Windows. Are you using the Windows?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, click on a start button in your Windows.
Yes, ma'am.
Type in search button, type run.
Yes.
Okay, then enter CMD. Just type CMD.
Okay.
And then
Done.
click on a OK. You will see some black screen coming up or white screen, whatever the configuration you have.
Yes, I got it.
Okay, so there you will be able to see C:/user. Your name will be there, and after that, just type SFDX, small letters.
SFDX.
SFDX.
Done.
Okay, are you getting this output?
After writing, ma'am.
What is the output you are getting?
Yes, I got this.
You got this?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so that means installation is done. Now, next step is click on a start option in your Windows. Again, close that, close the command button, whatever you have opened, close everything. In your Windows, click on a start button. And in the search, just type system environment variables. System environment variables. So like this, you have to do env. If you're typing env also fine, just type env. So you will get here environment variable for account. Just click on a open option. Just click on this open.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Once you click on a open, so you will be it is going to redirect you to the environment variables. Is anyone seeing the different screen? Okay, so everybody is on it, right? Environment variables.
Yes.
Okay, now here you have something called path in user variables. In user variables, there is some variable called path. So highlight this path, click on a edit button. Highlight this path, that means click on this path and click on a edit button. So highlight this, click on a edit button. You will see some options here. Right? Click on a new button. Now, before clicking on a new button, wherever your Salesforce CLI is there, take the path of that. That means wherever your Salesforce CLI is installed. Okay, so my Salesforce CLI is installed in program files. And I have a here and then bin location. So this is the path. Copy that path, paste it in the notepad. Copy that path, paste it in the notepad. And once you copied it, then click on here, new button. So when you click on a new button, here like this, it is going to show you. So what you do is paste it, Control V or a Command V. If it is a Mac, Command V. If it is a Windows, Control V. Just paste that and click on a OK. Click on OK. So far, is everybody with me? Anyone has trouble?
I'm not getting
Who is that not getting?
Sailaja.
Yeah, Shailaja. What is happening?
Here in Windows button, start button itself, I'm not getting. Actually, it is asking like system properties. That one it is asking me.
Okay, so in the system properties, do you see environment variable button there?
Yes, yes, no.
Okay, click on that environment button.
Okay, okay. And in that path.
Yes, in that path.
Okay. Then it is
Select this and click on the edit button.
okay.
And click on a new button here. Then paste your whatever the path is there, just paste that.
Okay.
And
In
click
program
on
files.
OK.
In program files, we have to see that one. No? Path in-
Wherever your Salesforce CLI is installed, take that.
Okay. Okay, okay.
Okay, is everyone done? Okay, Karthik completed. Ananya Singh completed. Perfect. Click on a OK again. Once you are done there, click on this also OK. You have to click on everywhere OK button. Do not click on a cancel. No. Once that is done, so once that is done, you will see the path gets added into the whatever the path is there that gets added into your environment variable. Perfect. Now the Salesforce CLI is done. we have downloaded and installed the Visual Studio. We have downloaded and installed the Salesforce CLI, which is the interface. Okay. So we have installed the Salesforce CLI. Now these two are in our system. These two are in our system. Now, Salesforce CLI enables whatever it is we are trying to pull it. It will first cross verify. Salesforce is going to cross verify the CLI. If it is there, then only it is going to connect the Visual Studio. Now, it is just a connection. This interface is to enable the connection. Now we have something in the Visual Studio which is called Salesforce Extension Pack. Salesforce Extension Pack. So what you have to do is open your Visual Studio. Open your Visual Studio. Open this Visual Studio. In the Visual Studio, whatever the activity bar is there, right? So we have a activity bar here. In the activity bar, you see this one, this is extension icon. This is extension icon. So just click on that extension icon. So once you click on that extension icon, then search for extension, Salesforce Extension Pack. Search for Salesforce Extension Pack. Salesforce Extension Pack. Search for this. When you search it, you will see the first one. So I have clicked on this extension, and then if I search it, I can see here Salesforce Extension Pack. Salesforce Extension Pack. Now you will see here one button called Install. You will see a button called Install. So just click on Install. Just click on Install. Click on the Install button. For me, I have already installed. So that is the reason it is showing me uninstall. But for you, it is going to show as an install. Now, when you install this package, what all things are going to include in the Visual Studio? So when you install this package has a Apex. This package has a Apex Interactive Debugger and Apex Replay Debugger, Salesforce CLI integration, Aura component, Visual Force. This is for the syntax highlights for the Visual Force framework. And then we have a Lightning Web component, and they have a SOQL SLDS validator. So these all will be included in the package. So these are the child packages. So these packages will be included in this extension, Salesforce Extension Pack. So when you install it, your Visual Studio is get updated with this extension packs. Is it done installation? So all the extension packages sits into this extension. So in your real time also, if somebody says to install some package in the Visual Studio, go to the extension and search for that package. And you can install it. But basic one is, this is one required. Fine, it is installed perfectly fine. So that is the installing the Salesforce extension pack. So first step which we have done is downloading the Visual Studio. We have downloaded the Visual Studio. Then we have downloaded the CLI. Now within the Visual Studio, we have installed a Salesforce extension pack. Extension pack. So we have installed this extension pack, which is a third step. Now, 3 steps are done. Now, next we are moving on to the, once it is installed. So this is, we already seen, it is going to install the child packages. Now, once it is installed, now we have to focus on the Visual Studio. Okay. In the Visual Studio, we are going to create a project. Right now, everything is empty here. Everything is empty. There is nothing is here. Now we are going to create a project in Visual Studio. Now, in order to create a project, either you open a command palette. How you are going to open a command palette? So you can click on this setting and here you have a command palette, or else click on a view button, open the command palette. Either you can go from here or you can go from here, or else you can directly do Control-Shift-P. You can directly do Control-Shift-P. If it is a Mac, use the Command-Shift-P. Command-Shift-P. So which is going to show here the shortcut key. So if you use this, either select this or you can use the Control-Shift-P. When you select a Control-Shift-P, type SFDX create project with manifest. Type SFDX create project with manifest. So when you type it, so let me do it here, Control-Shift-P. So SFDX, so type here SFDX. So there is an arrow mark here. Do not delete that arrow mark. Let it be there. So SFDX create project with manifest. Select this. When you select it, in the status bar, you will see the activity is going on. It will take some time. First time, it is going to take some time. So the activity which is happening at the back end. Okay, let me try again. Control-Shift-P, activity extensions are happening. Okay, it's taking time for me. How about you guys?
After clicking it, I got standard or something like that.
Okay. So if you got it, then enter some project name. Okay, here it is standard. So standard, empty, and analytics. Do not go for empty analytics, just select the standard here. Select the standard. When you select the standard, it is going to ask you enter project name. Enter project name. So enter some name there. So let's say demo CDCA demo. Let's give CDCA demo. And once you type it, hit enter. Once you type it, hit enter. Are you guys with me? Okay, so then you go ahead and select wherever you wanted to store that. So what I have done is in the documents, either you can go for documents or a C drive, whichever the one you want, you can choose the folder. In the documentation, I have created a folder called VS Code. I have created a folder called VS Code. So open up that, create a folder here, VS Code, because for the future purpose you need it. So once you create a VS Code, just open up here and then whatever the name it is there, right? Now everything I wanted to store here. Now just after opening the folder, just click on a create project. That's it. Do not change anything here. Any questions till this point? If somebody is not able to get in. Okay, so click on create project. So when you click on a create project, it is going to create your package. The project is created here. In the sidebar, you will see here, the project is created. I have given a name called CDCA demo. The project is created now. Project, you will see it in the sidebar. Project, you will see in the sidebar. And in this in this activity bar, just observe one thing. In the activity bar, you are seeing only 6 icons here. There are no more icons here, only 6 icons are there. Just for a snipping, I'm taking it because later I wanted to show you that. So right now we have 6 items here, which is a Explorer, Search, Source Controller, Debug, and Extension. We have a GitLab workflow. So these are the 6 icons we have. And then on the sidebar, we have a project that gets created. Now, whatever we are doing in the Salesforce, where it is going to sit here, it is going to sit in the Force-app. If you open the Force-app, you can see Apex classes, Aura, layout, applications, LWC, object, permission, static resource, tab, trigger. By default, it will create a structure, but there is nothing is there inside. There is nothing inside. It is empty. So by default, as we have a extension package, which we have installed, right? Salesforce extension package. So whenever we create a folder for the Salesforce, what will happen? It is going to create this dummy structure here. And all my, whatever the metadata is there. So this everything is called metadata. So whatever this metadata is there, everything sits into the Force-app. Force-app. Now we are done with creating the project. Now connect with Salesforce Org. Now we have created that, right? So is everybody done with creating a project in Visual Studio? Okay. Anybody lost or anybody still struggling till this point? Okay, perfect. So let's move on connecting with Salesforce Org. Now it is time to connect our Salesforce Org. Whatever the Salesforce Org is there, we need to connect it. But before connecting it, we need to understand a couple of things. So similarly, whenever we wanted to connect, click on a Control-Shift-P or a Command-Shift-P to open the command palette. Now this time, type SFDC:authorize an org. SFDC:authorize an org. When you type it, now Control-Shift-P, SFDX:authorize an org. So my status bar is showing something is happening at the backend, loading system data. Okay, now you can see here options which are called project default, production, sandbox, custom. Project default is by default if you wanted to take login.salesforce. By default, if you want login.salesforce, you can use that by default one. That is a project default one. And then we have a production. The production is whatever the production client has given the production access, right? If you wanted to connect the production, connect it. And if you have a test sandboxes, then use the test sandboxes. But ideally, most of our orgs are custom org. In the real time, also we have a custom org. That means whenever we are creating a org, whenever we are developer edition or a unlimited edition, whatever we are connecting it, by default, we have custom org. When I say custom org is nothing but so on top, here you see there is a this is says custom. This says custom. That means either you should be having a login.salesforce.com or a test.salesforce.com. But in case if your org is a custom, that means some name it is there. Some name it is there. Now you have to use a custom there. In real time also, most of the times I use a custom. I don't go for the production. I don't go for the stage test.salesforce. Even for the production also, I go for a custom because that is the safest one. Copy this org, whatever the URL you see here, copy this, open your org, whatever your custom URL is there, copy that. Do not take the lightning.salesforce.com. Take the my.salesforce.com. Do not take lightning.force.com. Do not take this one. Don't take the lightning one. Don't take the lightning one. Always it has to be classic. So before logging in, it is showing you .my.salesforce.com. So copy that. Now let's go back to the Visual Studio. Control-Shift-P, SFDX:authorize an org, select custom, and then type your whatever you copied the URL, type it here. select the custom and type the URL and click on enter. Again, click on enter, 2 times enter. Then there is something is running at the backend to authorize an org. That means right now your Visual Studio is trying to connect your org. So it will open up your org. Like this. That means from your Visual Studio, it is trying to open up this URL. And if you have a password automatically captured, then click on a login. Click on login. And then once it is login, it is going to show you this allow. It is going to show you this allow. It is going to show this allow and click on allow button. Let it successfully log in. So once it is login, you will see here SFDX authorization and org successfully ran. That means right now your Visual Studio is connected with Salesforce Org. Right now, we have connected our Visual Force with the Salesforce using the integration we have here, Salesforce CLI integration. This will enable to connect the Salesforce to the Visual Studio. Now here we have used in the Visual Studio 2 commands. One command is in the Visual Studio which we have used it. SFDX : create package with manifest. And second one is SFDX : authorize an org. These two are the command. Right now ours is once these two are done with the help of Salesforce CLI, now it is Salesforce is connected to the Visual Studio. Perfect, this is done. Now once that is done, now you can see here authorization and org successfully ran. Now there is an important thing which we have to know here. Now our Salesforce org is connected to the Visual Force. Next step is I need to retrieve the component from the Salesforce. If I wanted to retrieve the component from the Salesforce, then we need to take a help of Package.xml. Package.xml. If you open up the manifest in your package or in your project, there is something called Package.xml. So when you open up the Package.xml, there is something called, now let's go there. Now here you have a manifest and here it is a Package.xml. Now what is the Package.xml here? Is everybody authorized is successful? Or still the issue? Okay, so successfully done. So now we are going to see Package.xml. Now for the Package.xml, what is this Package.xml? Now you see all these commands. So Package.xml is basically it is a XML language. You see all the XML language in that package.xml, which has all XML commands. It starts with XML, question mark XML, and ends with package. Right? Starting, you will have a XML, then you are opening up the package. So package.xml manifest is coded in XML language. So what it does basically, what it does is it will inform the system. It will inform the Visual Studio which specific metadata component that we need to retrieve it from the Salesforce, or which specific metadata I need to deploy to the Salesforce. That means I need to push to the Salesforce. Which one do I need to retrieve it? Which one do I need to deploy it? Everything is decided by the package.xml. So package.xml is going to specify which type of metadata that we wanted to pull from the Salesforce, which we wanted to deploy to the Salesforce. Now here, what is metadata components? What is metadata components here? So metadata components are the one which you see in your org. Metadata are the assist in your org. Assist in your org. That means assist is nothing but the objects, tab, classes, aura, LWC, whatever you see. Everything is called as a metadata component. Everything is called metadata component. So these metadata assists are called metadata component. So for example, metadata component you reference in package.xml. So XML is nothing but extensible markup language. XML is nothing but extensible markup language, is a text-based language that is used to identify, organize, migrate the metadata component, whatever you wanted to do. So in package.xml, what do we see? We see the format is a XML format, and what is the content will be there? Content is all metadata component. Metadata component. Now, what is a metadata component? Whatever is exists in your Salesforce org, which is nothing but your object, custom tabs, right? Page layout, Apex classes, of custom objects, everything Apex classes, lightning aura, LWC, everything is called as a metadata components. Now, what is the syntax for package.xml? So package.syntax is every component or every metadata starts with a type. It starts with a type and there is a closure of type. Within this type, we are going to mention two commands. One is a members, which is a star. Star is nothing but you wanted to pull all the components. You wanted to pull all the components. If you specify some name here, then it is going to pull only that particular component. And the second one is you are going to specify the metadata component name. So here you have to specify the component name. So for example, type, and inside the type we'll have a members, let's say star means all the component that I'm going to pull it. And the second one, name says that Apex class. Name says Apex class. So now I wanted to, this means I wanted to pull the Apex classes, all the Apex classes I wanted to pull. I wanted to pull all the Apex classes. Now let me take you to this here. So right now, if you see here, each metadata component starts with a type. Each metadata component starts with a type, open type, closer type. Within this, we have two commands, which is a members, where it says that star is nothing but I wanted to pull all the components. Now, name is nothing but I wanted to, which component, which metadata component that I wanted to pull. Now, let's assume that. Let's go here. Let's type Apex classes. Now let me open Apex class. What is this? We do not have any.
So far, we have done the coding in anonymous and all.
Okay. So we have a components, right? So let's take a lightning component in that case. Lightning components. Now let's assume that I wanted to pull only this particular lightning component. I wanted to pull only this particular lightning component. So what I'll do is we have a lightning component bundle here. So instead of star, I'll mention this first Aura component. I'll mention first Aura component, and I don't want all this. I don't want all of this. So I'm commenting this. Control S. Now, one more thing, just observe. Previously, we were having only 6 icons in the activity bar. In the activity bar, we were having only 6, right? Right now, there is one is org browser is added, and another one is a testing is added. Org browser, testing, and then we have, this is fine. So org differences. By default, you will see org browser and testing. If you are getting a testing, that's fine. If you are not getting, is also fine. Now this means your org browser. If you click on this, what will happen? Right now, it is not connected anything, no default. Now, basically, you are working on a single project. You are working on single project. Now, every time you wanted to connect to the same org, you wanted to connect to the same org. So in that case, what you can do is you can create your own default org. In case if you wanted to connect, you can create a default org. That means there is an option here that every time whenever you are connecting it, you can say that the default connection here. Now, if you wanted to open the org, you can open up this org. You can open up the org. Now let's go back. Okay, so there is a here Aura definition bundle. You should use this one instead of this. Control star. Let's take out this. Now Aura definition bundle, perfect. Now I just want a component here. Now what I'll do in order to pull this. So if you wanted to extract all the component, then you can use a star. But if you want a specific one, so what you can do is specify the specific one. So open the package.xml. If you wanted to modify, you can modify the package.xml. If you wanted to remove something, like we have just commented, right? So if you wanted to remove something, you can remove it, or if you wanted to add something, you can add it, whatever you wanted to do. So right click on it there is an option called SFDC, retrieve this source org. Retrieve the source org from source from org. So open this, right click on this, and here you see on bottom you can see here SFDX : retrieve source in manifest from org. So retrieve it. It should give an error. Yes. Because warning, why it is saying that it is whenever you get this kind of errors, whenever you get, it is going to tell us that retrieve source from org failed run. Now, what is the problem? The problem you will get here in the output. The problem you will get it in the output. The problem you will get it in the output. So right now we have given here cmp.cmp, right? And what I'll do is I'll clean up this output. Again, I'll run it. Right click, retrieve source in. Now this is the error. It says that no component in the package to retrieve it. No component to retrieve the package. So this is, it did not find. Now what I'll do is I'll modify it. Save, right click. Because we have commented this types. It should be type. Now right click, retrieve source from org. Now it is trying to retrieve it. I have written here .cmp. We have a .js, .css. It is trying to find out this. Ran perfectly fine. First Aura component, Aura definition, entity. Okay, now I'll go back and open up the Aura. What it is saying that it's not yet came. Cannot be found. It says that name cannot be found. Type this. So Visual Studio is going to explain, at least give a hint what needs to be entered here. In case if you do not know, like this .cmp is there. So I have not received anything. It says successfully ran, but I have not received anything. Now what can I do? I can go to the output. In the output, I can check the message cannot be found and type this is, and what it is saying that you have entered .cmp. Now I'm going to remove that CMP because it is saying me to enter only the first Aura component bundle. Whatever the bundle name is there, just enter that. So Visual Studio is going to give some hints kind of this. Now, what I'll do is I'll again go to the Package.xml and right click, retrieve source in manifest. Now it created the first Aura component. See, it created the complete bundle it created. Complete bundle it gets created. Now if I say star, what is going to happen? Instead of one component, it is going to bring me all the component. Did I delete it? Okay. So if I say here star, so what it is going to happen? It is going to pull me all of them, whatever is their existing one. So again, I'm going to clean up this output, right click, retrieve source in manifest. Now it is running up. Now starting retrieving it. Now what are the things it is retrieved? Aura LC _ quick action tab, and button group, create CSS, everything it has loaded. See here, so many Aura components which are came. So many Aura components which came. Now, if I wanted to modify something, so I wanted to change something here. Let's say that I'm changing here, I'm CDC. Click on save. Once you click on is save. Once you click on is save. Now how to push? Now you made a changes in your local system. Now whatever you have created, if you go to your folder, okay, if you go here, documents and VS Code, in the VS Code, you will see demo, CDCA demo, which is created here, right? And if you open course-app main default, you can see all your component here. So that means from your Salesforce, you bought all your component to your desktop. All your component to your desktop. Now you wanted to change modify something here, like I made some changes here. Now, good evening, teaching Salesforce course on also the Visual Studio. Also Visual Studio. Now I'll save it. Now, whenever I save it, it just saved in my system. It just saved in my system. It did not saved in the Salesforce. Now, if I go to the Salesforce, if I open first Aura component, I can see here Swapna Salesforce course. My changes are not here. My changes are not here. Now, how can I push it? Push in a sense, deploy the component to the Salesforce Org. Deploy the component to the Salesforce Org. Now, if I wanted to deploy the changes whichever I made it, so what you have to do is, there is an option when you right click on that particular component, right click on that, and there is an option called SFDX: deploy this source org. Deploy this source org. So by using this deploy this source org, what will happen? It is going to deploy it. So we have an option called here deploy source org. Now, do not click on this Aura completely. Do not click on this and do not do this deploy source to org. Whatever the file you have made a changes, you made a changes only on the first Aura component, right? So you should right click on this and there is an option called deploy this source to org. Be careful here. It says that delete this project from the org. So do not do that. So select the second one. Select the second one, deploy this source to org. Always select the file which you are making the changes. Do not do on the package or the complete component. Okay, whatever the one you are doing it, just right click on it, select the second one which says SFDX: deploy this source to org. When you deploy it, now what is going to happen? Now it is deployed. Now it is deployed. Now I can see here, right click. Let's close this file. So I do not have a refresh icon here. So I need to close this developer console and reopen. Okay, file, open resource. First, Aura component. Now see here the changes are came CDCA, also Visual Studio. The changes are came into the Salesforce. Now in the Salesforce, wherever the component is used, that component will be reflected with the latest changes. Now that's all. Now these are the two commands. This is for the creating the project. This is to create a project and this is authorized. Once this is done, in order to pull the data from Salesforce, if I wanted to pull the data from Salesforce to Visual Studio. Then we have to use SFDX retrieve what is the option we have? Retrieve this source from org. Retrieve this source from org. This is to retrieve the metadata components from Salesforce to Visual Studio. In case if I wanted to deploy it, I wanted to deploy from Salesforce, from Visual Studio to Salesforce. I wanted to deploy from Visual Studio to Salesforce. If I wanted to deploy it from Visual Studio to Salesforce, we have an option called SFDX deploy the source to org. SFDX deploy this source to org. Now, that means this is going to deploy it and this is going to retrieve it. Now, overall today, we have done this. First step, downloading the Visual Studio. Second step, CLI installation, Salesforce CLI. Third step, Salesforce extension pack. Then we have created the project. We have authorized it. Now we retrieved everything from the Salesforce org. All the metadata components, we have retrieved it to the Visual Studio. That means our local system. And from our local system, that means from the Visual Studio, if I wanted to deploy, we have to use the deploy this source to org. That's all for today. And the trial head links. So this is the trial head link. I'm going to paste it in the chat. This is one which is going to explain the Salesforce DX setup, and then the second one which is going to explain the Package.xml. Package.xml. Now, any questions?